The Mustang is Ford's hero on the track, but when it comes to the showroom, it's the Ranger that reigns supreme. So it's big news that this has arrived, the all-new Ranger. It's been years in the making, and we're finally getting to put it through its paces, off-road and on. Let's see what it's capable of.
The new Ranger will be sold in more than 180 countries, but Australia is at the heart of it. That's because it was primarily designed and engineered here in Melbourne by the Ford Australia team. Because it's so critical to the brand's local sales, they spent years speaking to customers to ensure that they got the new Ranger to meet all their requirements. That has meant changes to what's under the bonnet, including introducing a new V6 turbo diesel engine, as well as upgrading the chassis and suspension, and giving the cabin a more premium makeover. All this has been done to ensure the new Ranger appeals to both tradies and families in equal amounts. Because while it's still a workhorse for many, for others it has become the modern family car.
Now, Ford has been happy for us to try out how off-road capable this new Ranger is, driving through muddy ruts and across rocky banks and even through a big water splash. But to be honest, that's not really where this new Ranger has taken its biggest leap forward. To really see where this new model shines, you've got to hit the paved roads.
That's because Ford has really focused on making the Ranger a more family-friendly ute. It's loaded with luxury and technology. Ford has dropped the aging 5-cylinder turbo diesel engine, and instead the majority of the lineup will rely on either the carryover 2-litre bi-turbo 4-cylinder diesel or the new 3-litre V6 turbo diesel. Both are paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. The bi-turbo is the same engine that was introduced as the powertrain for the Ranger Raptor in the last generation, so it packs a respectable punch, 155 kilowatts of power and 500 newton meters of torque. However, the most popular engine is likely to be the new V6 because it makes even more grunt, 184 kilowatts and 600 newton meters. Under the surface, Ford is now offering two different four-wheel drive systems, either a part-time 4x4 setup with electronic shift on the fly or a full-time 4x4 system. The former comes standard on the 2-litre engines and the latter is fitted to all V6 models. The suspension also feels like it's been reworked to provide the Ranger with more compliance and comfort without sacrificing its capability.
What that all means ultimately is that while the Ranger is certainly still a very rugged and capable car for those people that want to get off-road or are a tradie that need a real workhorse, for the large group of people that are now buying this Ranger as a family car, it is a much better proposition. It really feels much more polished and sophisticated to live with around town. When you're driving around the suburbs, this is a much easier ute to live with. I mean, it still feels, very much the classic Ranger. It's still got a little bit of that sort of wobble that you get and a little bit of jiggling from the suspension, particularly when you haven't got a load in the back, because it is ultimately designed to take a fair bit of weight. But the way it rides overall, and particularly the steering is a real leap forward over the old model. This steering, even in the standard Ranger, almost feels as good as the steering in the outgoing Raptor, which quite frankly is probably the best ute to drive that's been built yet. So really, if you're a mum or a dad and you're looking for something that you want to maybe have some weekend fun with, or you've got to do some work during the week, but it isn't going to be a pain in the neck when you've got to run down the shops or do the school run, this Ranger is now a much better proposition. As for the engines, well, we've sampled the bi-turbo in the V6. Now in isolation, the bi-turbo is a great engine. It's carried over from the old model. It was the engine that powered the Raptor, and it does a good job. All that torque means it has got plenty of punch. However, after you've driven the V6, well then you notice that the bi-turbo is working a lot harder. That's because the V6 just feels like it's a lot more effortless about how it goes about its business. It's just got so much torque. It got all that extra capacity just means it's working a lot easier than what the Bi-Turbo is. I mean, it's a great addition to the lineup, and it's obviously going to be something that should make the Ranger even more popular. Another area where the Ranger's had a huge leap forward is the cabin. We're in the top of the line Wildtrak, which comes equipped with this digital instrument panel. You've got this huge 12-inch tablet style touchscreen in the center console here that controls most of your functions, but there's still physical buttons down the bottom for the key functions like the stereo, like the air conditioning. So you can do those things if you're cold and you've got gloves on, or if you just need to quickly want to press something, turn up the volume, turn down the air con. It's easy to do. They've thought about the details in this car quite a lot. The higher spec models get this E-shifter, which is, takes a little bit of time to get used to, but Ford has done it specifically to avoid using the rotary dial that comes in some of its other models. But just overall, the overwhelming feeling you get with this cabin is that you're in something much more premium. This really does feel like it could be a premium SUV rather than what these utes used to be, which were just real workhorses. It really is a huge step forward.
Initially, Ford is only offering the 4x4 models, but there's still plenty of choice with nearly 20 variants available from launch. However, Ford's more premium approach to this new generation extends beyond how it drives to the price. The 4x4 lineup begins at $47,030 for the XL single cab chassis with the Bi-Turbo engine, while the most affordable V6 model is the XLT 4x4, which starts at $62,290. If you want the top of the range Wildtrak 4x4 dual cab V6, you'll need at least $70,190. Despite the price increase, the biggest challenge for Ford Australia, at least in the short term, will be securing enough supply, given that demand will be high and the global supply chain crisis is still impacting the car industry. Overall though, there's no question this new Ranger is a leap forward from the old model. It offers more power, more capability, more comfort, and more safety technology. No wonder it's the Blue Oval's hero model down under.